Kapil, thank you for hosting this. I listened to your Direct Truth podcast a few weeks ago on creating foolproof outcomes. And one of the things that you mentioned was that oftentimes people claim to want an outcome.
So, where did you get the Direct Truth podcast?
I purchased it for $500.
Okay, go ahead.
And one of the things,
So, rather than stating what it says, just ask your question.
it's more of a statement than a question.
Well, if it's a statement, then there's no point in stating it.
The question.
It's only if you have a question.
I don't want to want. I just want, or at least that's the transition I wish to make, and I'm uncertain of how to make that transition.
There's no how to that. Yes, I understand your question, but there's absolutely there's no how to that, and it requires some percentage of sincerity to really understand that answer. And if you simply consider it logically, how can anyone tell you how to stop wanting? What can you possibly do? What practice can you possibly do? What austerity can you possibly do? It doesn't work that way. And these things are an internal journey. They're about understanding. They're about understanding where things come from, how things work, how the mind works, where these things arise from. The conditioning that humans have been brainwashed into is that you can ask a how, and if you just consider it just with a single neuron, you don't have to be very intelligent. Now, I'm not saying that you're not, but you don't have to be. If you just consider it for a single second, the reason no one considers it is because they've been spoon-fed their entire life by nonsense. Therefore, they've never been asked to consider this. And that spawns the ongoing questioning of the how, because that's the permission slip, and that is the conditioning that society has given to them. Just ask how, just ask how, just ask how. But if you consider it just with a single neuron in your head, how can anyone possibly tell you to do anything? And what thing could you possibly do for however long that could make wanting leave you?
I'm uncertain.
And there are few things in I have done a lot of work till now, like few things in my life, and but there's nothing whatever I've done, there's nothing no work that I've done till now is something which feels like that I'm enjoying it. I'm really like into it. So I'm not able to understand, is there anything in this uh, in in this world, like there's something which I can really enjoy and I feel very natural to it. It's whenever I'm doing something, it always feels like I'm doing some hard work, or like I'm being pushed or forced to do it, and it doesn't feel natural at all as well. as well.
I mean, essentially, you're asking, is there anything that you have a natural, unforced interest in?
Yes.
And I can't answer that for you. I don't know.
Hi. In business, a lot of people that make it to the top and are in boardrooms are people who uh, do deal in methods and kind of are method dealers, and they earn a lot of followers, and a lot of people respect them, and they gain a certain amount of power and notoriety by dealing in methods. And do you think that that is necessary to be successful in business, to deal in methods and give people what they want? Or do the people you coach manage to not do that and still succeed at what they want to do?
I mean, you have two questions. You have one about methods, and then you have giving people what they want. And you're sort of combining the two, and they're to some degree two different questions. So I'm not sure which one you're asking.
Um, my main question is, um, yeah, I noticed that a lot of people who do well in business prescribe methods. Uh, do you think it's necessary?
Are you saying that they do well in business, and then after they do well, then they begin to prescribe methods, or they do well in business because they prescribe the method?
They're able to climb the ladder and to earn the respect of people around them and to be treated well. I don't know if they actually accomplish anything or if they're just good at kind of climbing the ladder by telling people what they want to hear. And if they,
Yeah, and see,
yeah,
that's why the question is confusing, because on the one hand, you're talking about methods, people who give methods, and then you're talking about, on the other hand, giving people what they want, and then on the third hand, you're talking about they're able to climb a ladder, they're able to, rise the success or climb the success ladder, and it's kind of all over the place. I'm not sure that you know exactly what you want to ask, or if you do, it hasn't been explained clearly.
hmm. Have you noticed this pattern that I'm talking about?
A pattern of what?
A
Giving people what
pattern,
they want, so climbing the success ladder, giving methods. I mean, those are three different things.
a pattern of people giving methods in order to gain social power. being
Well, you know,
a
I think a lot of that goes on. I mean, and there, you know, the world is conditioned to seek prescriptions. And so if you have a channel or if you have a if you've gained some level of public notoriety, then you can come out and say, well, these are the 5 steps to this, and this is the 5 steps to that, and these are your morning routines, and this is the way to become successful. And is that going to gain a lot of attention? I think a lot of the attention is because the person's already um, has already attained the level of success, which provides the attention, and that provides a forum through which he can prescribe methods. Um, so, and I'm not even sure if what you're really asking. A lot of times people dress up their question, and they try to come in sneakily and ask some nice sounding question when they don't just come out and say it. Because another possibility, and I'm not saying this is the case, but another possibility is that you could be asking is that what's wrong with giving methods because you would like to do so as well. And if others have, what's wrong with that? That could also be what you're asking. I don't know.
yeah. I think that's something like it. I think I'm kind of thinking the reverse. I don't like to give people methods, and I don't like to follow them. I don't think they're useful a lot of the
So
time.
then why does it matter if a lot of people do? What's the relevance of that? If you don't like it, if you don't like doing it, you don't like following it, well, I don't, what's, like, who cares what they do? Why ask that question?
Um, yeah, I mean, I run a small company, and I see that a lot of other executives will give methods, and it gives people a calmness, even if those methods don't work and are ineffective. They,
And so you're
yeah.
saying because you've seen other people who are heads of companies do this, that you would like to perhaps try the same thing and to provide a level of calmness to your subordinates. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't. I wonder if I'm missing. Should I, even though I'm reluctant to, and it doesn't. It's not something that aligns well with my values. Um, am I actually doing something wrong by not giving people that kind of structure, even if that structure is not real and is kind of false? Um, do do do
So
people?
I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it really is, you know, is that something that resonates with you? And um, if you do it because others do it, or you feel that others are doing it and you're not doing it, are you missing out, or are you doing something wrong, or uh, you know, not getting the most benefit out of something by not doing it? Um, then you may do it. But this is not a question about whether method giving is effective or not. Um, you have to understand that the people on the receiving end of everything are the masses, and they are not looking for the truth. So any lollipop you throw their way, they're gonna eat the lollipop. Now, if you want to toss lollipops too, you can, and there's no way that you're going to think that I'm talking against it. I'm not talking against it. I'm saying that that's just the fact of how things are. Um, Anyone will buy used shoes. You can tell them anything. You can tell them to do this and do that, and they'll say thank you. I'm going to go practice that. I'm going to go do that. And they didn't come into the world that way. That's called brainwashing. That's called conditioning. That's what society has turned human beings into. I mean, it isn't their fault. That's what society has turned human beings into, prescription seekers. So if someone is a prescription seeker, and everyone is, then naturally they're going to have an affinity for those who give them prescriptions.
Right.
Hey, Kapil. So, thanks for hosting this space. In the last 10 years or so, I've gone to retreats, I've gotten sober, I've gotten fit, and I still feel like a sense of emptiness. And I guess the question I'm asking would be I mean, I feel like I'm not fulfilled in the work that I'm doing, and I'm feeling called to kind of retreat and essentially like sell everything and go somewhere and figure it out on my own, because it's like I've tried all the things, and I don't know if I'm just looking for a recommendation or what you would do in that situation if I'm feeling called that way. Like, what is that like? I'm like, I don't even know what that looks like. Just selling it all, and sometimes I feel like going to an ashram or something, but that would just be another teaching. Or what would you suggest to somebody who feels like they're on the verge of being serious, or what you would consider serious?
Well, I don't suggest anything. I mean, wherever your seriousness leads you, it does. I mean, it's not a matter of you should do this and you should go where you're called and not do this and be more practical and all those things. And, those are intellectual machinations. Those are
Right.
turning the wheels over again and again. And so it really is not about a recommendation of what you should do. That is not truth.
Hi Kapil, I just want to ask, how do you stop regretting and living in the past?
Hi, Kapil. Uh, when it comes to understanding humans and human relationship, I am considering three sources. One is an internal reflection, and other thing is exposing myself to society or like interactions in the real world. Another thing is uh, exposing to direct truth through some master like you who is like an expert in that field. What do you think is an effective way to go about it out of these three sources?
Multiple choice questions don't work. You have to do what resonates with you most.
Hi, I hope I'm audible. It looks like I was muted. Uh, Last time I talked to you, you told me that I could only do this journey alone, that I could only pursue the truth alone. I was concerned about leaving behind my family, and I thought that the truth was mutually exclusive, so I let it go. I'm a 26-year-old.
Well, I didn't recommend that you leave behind your family.
I
I mean, what someone wants to read into what I say, that's up to
That's
them.
true.
I said the
Sorry.
truth has to be walked alone. Never in a million
No,
years
no, I didn't.
would I
I
imply that
didn't
you.
mean
Yeah.
that. I didn't mean that you
Okay.
told me.
Okay. I just wanted to be
Right.
clear about that.
No, I can see how I can. There was a period where I would take the implication of what someone would say and run with it. You've enabled me to not do that anymore, and I mean just that on its own, I'm really grateful for. But there's this sort of prescriptionizing of the family and of the people I care about, uh, thinking that I have to do this with some grand unified solution, and I was hard ruled in that way to to think that it was it was like I could only, it's either I can have it all or I have it wrong, that there is such a thing as having it all, because surely there is an answer for every little thing, and that's part of what I think my DNA is, uh, and what's allowed me to progress this far is because I don't take no for an answer, and now that's sort of a pathological thing if you were looking at it from the outside. Well, I'm living my life now, and I
So what's your
right,
question?
right. I'm sorry. Uh, I'm default pursuing the truth all day long, and I can sort of map out the world and the way things are, and that's one way of living, but it is exhausting, and it's something that I feel like I can't get out of. I feel like I can't stop pursuing the truth endlessly, and the whole reason why I'm pursuing this in the first place, fundamentally, is to find my freedom, to find my craft, to find something that I can just. I know you love Musashi. Uh, to just sort of be cut loose by not having to be trying to play catch up with the truth endlessly. So I'm sort of asking, how is it that I find my craft that is sort of uh, not consumed by the fire of truth spontaneously all day as I go through this truth seeking process? How is it that I can find something that's inscrutable that I can give myself to, because it's maddening to do this?
I mean, I can't tell you that. I mean, I can't tell you how to find that. I mean, whatever experience you're having, you're having.
I just
I mean, the truth is not a. It isn't a mellow and mild thing,
I feel
and
like I'm in the eye of the
that's why I
storm.
don't. Well, I don't recommend it for anybody. I mean, if you are, then you are. But
Is there any way to
everything
sail
has
out
a.
of the eye of the storm? Is
There's no way to do anything.
okay.
Everything is a part, or everything is a part and parcel to it.
self-conflict. And that's probably the truest thing I've ever heard. It's kind of crazy. Like, I haven't been angry in a long time. Since I heard that, I just see it everywhere now. It's like something actually being solved is kind of alien. It's a weird feeling. And lately, I've been noticing that I like to do things like scroll on social media or something like that for an hour, or I tell myself I need it as a break. But the actual feeling of doing so, it's kind of like when you go to the dentist and they put in like a numbing agent in your mouth and then you can't feel your mouth. It's like that. But I don't know what exactly it's numbing, but my thoughts or something like that. I don't really know. And just seeing this is very confusing for me because I don't really understand why I do it. Like, if I had a broken arm or something, I wouldn't want it numbed. I would want it fixed, right? So why do I just want my problems in life numbed instead of actually fixing them? Is it that I can't see them? I don't know.
I mean, a lot of it is conditioning. I mean, you could say that all of it's conditioning. Whenever someone has a problem, they're essentially taught to ask how, to go read a book, go find an article, go watch a whatever, and 10 steps and 5 steps and 3 steps and 3Ds and 4Cs, and so a lot of that's conditioning.
So, like, after figuring out what I want to achieve and everything that I had been struggling for, I see the only thing that's stopping me from doing that is me myself, like the discipline that is required and everything. So, what do you suggest?
I have nothing to suggest.
Hey, Kapil. I'm very interested, in the NBA and these great athletes, and when it comes to the legends of the craft, I'm very inspired by the greats. And then there's also this side of the greats when it comes to truth, like Jesus and Buddha. And I just wanted to ask, what is the similarity between one pursuing craft at the highest degree and one pursuing quote unquote truth? What comes to mind is sincerity, but would you be able to elaborate the similarities?
Well, I don't know that you can. I mean, a lot of times professional athletes are put on a pedestal,
Right.
and that pedestal isn't really warranted. I mean, are there very, very rare people in the world? Yes, but not many. And um, so I don't. You're not going to find the level of ultimateness in a professional athlete,
Right.
and the same as the level of ultimateness in a Buddha or Jesus. Does that mean that those kind of athletes have not existed? No, they've
Hmm.
existed, but there's a reflexive sort of habit to look at a professional athlete and say, well, he deserves to be put on a pedestal, and that just isn't the case. It,
I understand.
there's a lot of difference there between those two groups that you just talked about.
Hi, Kapil. I have a question. How does a man have a relationship without attachment?
There's no how.
Hi, Kapil. Thanks for the opportunity. Um, I wouldn't say that I've arrived at dispassion, but increasingly I don't see much in life to be passionate about. So dispassion seems like the only worthy goal. My question is more of a concern that I am coming at dispassion after feeling terribly lost at everything in life and no longer finding pleasure in most things that I used to before, except maybe still respecting people and relatives who have cared for me. Um, is my approach at dispassion from a point of total defeat disingenuous or another chase because I don't have any other goal in life to chase? Thank you.
Yeah, but turning something into a goal, especially um, something that is deep, uh, is is it can lead to problems. I'm not saying you should do it or shouldn't do it, but it turns into an ideal to chase, and because you want to do it correctly and you want to do it right and you want to get there, and so you try to get proper, and that that's really the problem with all of spirituality and all of self-help is this chase for concepts because they sounds proper and nice, and so then you begin to, and then chasing that is no different than chasing anything else. It's all about it's all about genuineness and sincerity. It isn't about fulfilling um, fulfilling and becoming successful at arriving at achieving a concept.
Hi, Kapil. Thank you for taking my question. It seems like the more serious and sincere I become, like I notice you can see it. I experience this actually overwhelming, strange sense of freedom, but but the freedom doesn't exactly feel good, if you know what I mean. And I don't need it to feel good because I know that's another chase for experience. I just wanted to see if you could talk about that feeling a little bit.
Well, I don't want to talk about anything. What question do you have?
Um, does it go away, or is that just me again trying to chase an experience, a search for pleasure because I want it to go away?
Well, I mean, what is it? Why does it matter if it goes away or not? And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
you should stick it out and
No.
push through it and all that. I'm just asking the question. What if I said yes, it goes away,
Well,
and then, or what if I said no, it doesn't go away? How would that change
yeah,
anything?
you're right. That was the wrong question. From where I come from is sometimes I wonder if I'm because being so serious. I've experienced like unprecedented success since I've started listening to you, but that seriousness has also made me very focused. And sometimes I wonder if I'm missing out on other experiences because I'm chasing this so maniacally, and sometimes that entails, I don't know, spending so much time indoors and in front of a computer, even though I can see
And
other people.
and
That's helping me.
and the other experiences that you feel that you could be missing out on, such as, I think I know what you
Like
mean,
traveling,
but
even
I'm gonna let you
traveling,
see it. Go.
like
I'm
something like
sorry.
traveling with my friends, for example.
Okay, so why would you not be able to travel with your friends? Why is that
Uh,
not allowed?
no, it is allowed, but it seems like because I'm trying to be very sincere and serious about what I want, I'm um, I'm neglecting
So
all.
you're talking about the time factor.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay, so I mean, if that missing out is bothering you, I mean, there's no rules.
Right.
So I mean, you can only be doing one thing at a time. And so by doing X, then yes, you can't really be doing Y. And if you want to do Y, then do Y.
Right.
There's no question here,
There's no question. Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not.
No.
I don't hear a question,
No.
and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there shouldn't be. I'm just saying I don't really hear a question.
Perhaps. Yeah. Perhaps I'm just looking for permission. But thank you.
Namaste, Kapil, and thank you for hosting this space. Um, After having been exposed to your work, I I am surprised at myself to see that I have dropped the prescriptions that I've been holding so dearly as my identity, and I don't feel bad about it. And there is a new sense of freedom that I've heard others talk about. But now the only thing that I do is contemplate, and as I contemplate on things, on life, and the reason why I do certain things, the reason for incessant thoughts, dreams, and so on, the only thing that remains, I don't know if I can call this my understanding or an explanation that I'm giving, is the concept of karma. And I feel like it is this karmic memory in me that is causing all these thoughts, and that is standing in the way of a no mind or atmaman state that I've read in your book. I'm wondering, am I in the ballpark of truth or going in intellectual circles? What is the truth about karma?
Well, I mean, do you know what karma really is? Do you know exactly how it works? Do you know what brings it about? How long it lasts? Ha, do you know that?
No, that's what.
So if you don't know that, then there's no real point in investigating down that road unless you're able to reach a true authority on that subject. And an authority is not an expert. An expert is just a babbler. A true authority on that subject. And in the absence of that, then you will never really know. And if you will never really know, then that element, it makes no sense to entertain it, not because it's wrong, not because it doesn't exist, not because the whole concept is flawed and there's no such thing as karma, not because of any of that, but it's because you don't know. And so therefore, that can't really play a role in anything. I mean, and by that I don't mean that it isn't playing a role. I'm saying from the standpoint of your analysis and your thinking, um, you it makes no sense for you to go down there. It can go down that road if it really exists, but for you to go down that road with not knowing if it is or isn't, and how it works, and how long it lasts, and where it arises, then it's just believing in a concept, which also you're free to do.
Hello? I see my mic is on. Am I supposed to be speaking?
Hello, Kapil. Um, I'm speaking from Ukraine right now. We have a really bad internet connection. I hope you could hear me. The question that I wanted to ask, I think with the 95% confidence, I can tell that I understand everything you are saying. With the 95% confidence, I can say that I have a special DNA. With a 95% confidence, I can tell that my purest desire is to be wealthy. But yet I am not wealthy, and I'm actually pretty far from wealthy. And my question is, am I a fraud, or have I not understood something yet?
Well, if you have not gotten to where you want to get, then there are understandings that you have not had, right? That's it.
Right.
There's no fraud. I mean, if you're working towards something and you haven't gotten there, then that means that there's some things that you have not yet understood.
Yes. Hi, Kapil. I assume that you mean that I'm supposed to be speaking now. Sorry, this is my second space that I was ever in, so I'm not entirely sure how it works. In any case, I really, 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 really like your approach, and I agree with your approach. I just sent out a tweet advising that people check out this space. I described it as sort of stoic Buddhist, just for the sake of people who, need to have some sort of handle. Personally, I think I'm pretty good on the whole, do what feels right, and that's who you are. Don't follow, sort of the superego or external influences and stuff. Kind of the way that Donald Trump is. As far as I can tell about him, he doesn't really have very much going for him natively, but he's authentic. Even whatever he happens to be, it's authentic. So it seems to work. Um, Personally, my issue, and it's a little bit embarrassing, but I guess it might make sense from a Jewish perspective, is that I have very, very deeply ingrained a sense of my mother's disapproval. The very Orthodox Jewish sort of approach where there's a goal and there's a purpose. You're supposed to get somewhere. So that's kind of the only thing holding me back. I kind of feel like if she were dead, then this wouldn't be an issue. But she's alive, and it gets at me sometimes, like, that her sense of, shame or whatever it is, she very much inculcated in me as a child that if I do something that she disapproves of, that I'm hurting her. And that's been a pretty damaging thing. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that. Thank you very much.
So number one, um, that isn't the only thing that gets at you, to use your words. There's going to be 7 million things that get at you, number one. Number two, there's nothing that I can say that would cure that for you. There are understandings that could be had about it, and those would take time to understand systematically and in a nuanced and organic way. But there's no recommendation. And as for your earlier comment about Stoic Buddhist, there's no ist here, and Stoicism is total fraud. There's no Stoicism. Anything that's an ism is not real. So those are just you know trying to make a stern face and be stoic. I'm not going to be emotional because that's what the Stoics did, and I want to copy them because I want to be philosophically correct. And it's all a bunch of crap. It's all nonsense. There's no stoicism. It's stupid. It's not real. It is yet another concept to live up to. The things that are real are the things that are natural. The things that are real are the things that are organic. Anything that is attempted to live up to is garbage. And in this society, from Stoicism to reading about ancient this and that, and philosophy and self-help and spirituality, all of those things are total garbage because they are all attempting to get someone to do something, be a certain way. Don't do that and do that and look like this and don't smile and don't do this and become self-actualized and all these fancy words that the intellectuals just engorge upon like a feast. Uh, it's just nonsense. There is no ism or ist. So that needs to be set straight. As for your feelings about your mother, I understand that it has caused you consternation, and that isn't the only thing that has caused you consternation, but the understanding that to some degree has to be had is that any attempt to seek a relief from that in the form of a method, technique, or prescription only seeks to exacerbate the issue. Those things don't go anywhere.
Hey, Kapil. Um, I just have a question about how can we do better at breaking free from the conditioning we've received from outside influences?
Thanks, Dr. Gupta. Jai Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Krishna. My question is very straight. How important is detachment achieving same or better results in both spiritual first and in a materialistic world? Thanks.
Well, everything that you just said has no meaning. These are all words that you have picked up from somewhere, and you mix them in a blender, and you form them into a sentence, and you spoke them. None of it has any meaning. I can't answer a question that has no meaning. It's all just fluff.
Hi, Kapil. Thanks for taking this question. Um, I had an experience essentially a few months back where I kind of had this sense that everything was perfect at all time, and from that perspective, I re- I had this insight or this realization or just thought that everything essentially that I was doing, every action was a prescription, in the sense that the movie of life was kind of unfolding on itself. I could check out and things would still be running perfectly, surprisingly. And again, coming back to what I just said, all actions were a form of prescription, except maybe for one. And that was essentially trusting. And I just feel like trusting is the only action that allows.
So I hear a commentary. I don't hear a question.
Yes,
So it seems like you came here to tout the virtues of trusting. That's what it sounds like. The why you're
it's
here. I don't hear a question.
what would be the relationship between a prescription and the very fact of trusting, essentially?
I have no idea what you mean by trusting. And once again, you're just stuck on that. And you have an angle with your question. Therefore, it isn't a sincere question. You have this trusting thing uh, that you're that you're really touting here, and that's the flag you're waving, and you're asking a question about that. It's not a real question.
Hi, Kapil. Thank you again for the opportunity. Um, the question came to me. Sorry, sometimes I get a little bit nervous when I talk to you. But the question about timing became clear to me. It was more of like the anxiety that I don't get from new experiences because sometimes I feel like for my craft, I need to get new experiences to get better at it and to feed it. And that's where I find some conflict because in pursuing what I really want and being serious about it.
Well, I mean, there's going to be conflict.
Uh,
There's going to there's
I'm
going to
a
be
writer. That's why
conflict.
I feel like sometimes I need new experiences to feed my craft. I,
Okay, then you need new experiences.
but sometimes if I pursue those new experiences, I feel like I'm not being serious because I'm actually chasing an experience for pleasure instead of doing
And
what I think
and
is the
that and
truth
that
about getting
comes
where I
from
want. Sorry.
you prescriptionizing these things into concepts that you want to live up to.
Mm.
Hi, Kapil. Thanks for the opportunity. My question is, do you intentionally look for inspiration, and where do you find inspiration? Thank you.
No, I don't look for it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask, I'm always stuck between these two choices of one is like giving up all the materialistic things and just living peacefully uh, till I am able to have food on my plate and roof over my head. And the other is always hustling and wanting to earn more and making international trips and all of those. So I'm always having this conflict. How do I handle it? Thank you.
There's no way to handle it.
Hi, Kapil. Thanks for the time. Um, so in my own life, I've found something to be absolutely true, which is it always seems like there's some amount of pain or deep emotion that you have to go through before something actually settles and seeps into true understanding, deeper than just being able to recite some logical argument, but something that you feel totally in your bones. Um, do you think that emotions play a vital role in delivering truth, like through experiences people have?
No.
What is the worst thing that can happen to a person?
That depends upon the person, doesn't it?
What's the worst thing that could happen to you?
Who cares? What are you here playing Trivial Pursuit?
I care. I'd like to know.
Okay. Well, I don't need to answer your question. It's a stupid question.
Hi, Kapil. My question is, why should we listen to you?
When did I say that you should? In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I probably say all the time that you shouldn't listen to me. Don't listen to what I say. Figure it out for yourself. So I don't know how this question has any relevance when I've gone out of my way to say that you shouldn't listen to me. When did I say that you should listen to me? I don't understand how your question is relevant. If I said that you should listen to me, then the question has relevance. If I've gone out of my way to say that you shouldn't. I don't know why I don't know where that question comes from.
Well, so my question is the whole life actually I have been struggling with myself, and I lied a lot, I pretended a lot, and sometimes I feel that I have created darkness. So, how to come out of it, or should I live along with it? Every decision which I made, it seems like yeah.
There's no how to come out of it. And there's no should I live with it.
So, what should I do? Means
There's no what should I do?
then why?
You can go for a walk. You can go for a walk. You can cook a meal.
Uh-huh.
You can sweep the floor.
Will that solve the problems?
What do you want? What do you want to hear?
No.
And I know what you want to hear. You want to hear some stupid nonsense
No.
that the world has taught you. Yes you do. Otherwise you wouldn't ask the question.
No, the question is
You want to hear stupid nonsense which says that You should think this way. You should do that. You should put a pot on your head and close your eyes and walk around 14 times while you're chanting something.
No, that's not.
What is there to do? What is there to do? Yes, it is. You're not if it's not, it's only because the details of what I said is not what you want. But the category is. You want me to tell you something that you can do or think or practice that can get you out of that. Doesn't
Well,
exist. Doesn't exist.
Kapil. So in the past, you've spoken about kind of all institutions like psychology and sociology being bullshit, and obviously that following prescriptions and following advice.
Very, very bad connection. I can barely hear what
Understand.
you're saying.
Oh,
It is totally distorted. Just try calling back.
okay. Hey, Kapil, how's it going? Hopefully you can hear me better now. So, in the past, you've mentioned that institutions like psychology and all those topics are kind of scams and bullshit. Also, that following prescriptions of so-called experts won't get me anywhere. I'm in advertising, right? So I want to understand the truth about the mind and persuasion and what compels someone to buy. Where would one look to find the truth on humans and why they do what they do?
You're not gonna find it. And the reason that you're not gonna find that is because everyone is predisposed and conditioned to prescribing. That's all that's out there. There's not like two groups, one that prescribes and one that looks for the truth and doesn't prescribe. That doesn't exist. So I don't care which bookstore you go to, and it doesn't matter which TV channel you watch, or what website you go to, or what podcast you listen to. Everyone is in the same game. Everyone comes from the same place because that is how deep the conditioning is. It's in the water. So there's no like, I'm going to go and this guy's going to tell me how the mind really works. No, they're not. They're going to give you neuroscience. And they're going to show you images of the brain and glucose uptake with a PET scan. And so psychologist from so, the XYZ chair of psychology at so Pushy Pushy University says that all this nonsense. That's all you're going to find. You think you're going to find truth? You can look for it. You're welcome to.
courses which are available on your site, and I mean those helped me really well. And I mean, for a day or two, I was able to achieve those moment of silences and my mind completely blank, and you know, but somehow I was not able to sustain them because that.
It isn't about sustaining anything. It isn't even about having a moment of the mind, whatever you said.
Yeah,
It's just about the
yeah,
truth.
right.
It isn't about having. It isn't about having a spiritual experience.
No, I get that. I get that. I get that. It
But then you're asking how to.
no, no.
But then you're asking how to sustain it.
Yeah, because I mean, I was on a vacation for last 2 weeks. I mean, I didn't go
You know,
anywhere.
I don't care.
No, no,
You're not getting to the
no,
point.
no.
The point. I don't like to waste time when I already know the question. No matter how much you deny that you're asking that question.
Okay.
You said that you had certain experience. I already knew from the first 7 words. Okay, where
Mhm.
you were going with this. So there's no denying it,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with you. You haven't done anything wrong.
Mhm.
I'm just getting to the point. I don't like to waste time. Okay.
No, but
There's no spiritual experience that you should be having. And I'm going to hang up now because every time I speak, you come back with but,
no, no.
therefore you're
I'm
not
so
really
sorry.
listening.
I'm
There's no
please.
point in talking.
Do you find purpose in humor, or do you view it as a distraction?
My question is that do all humans have that DNA to arrive at the truth, or is it?
Why does it matter? Why does it matter?
I guess it gives hope to go through the
Why do you want hope?
because there is a desire to get there, but the path is very difficult.
Okay, so if there's desire, there's desire. So what's hope going to do for you?
I guess allows you to sustain through the
Really?
unease.
Hope allows you to sustain something? So hope will take away your desire or put the desire there. And knowing that the whole world either has the DNA or doesn't have the DNA, and if they have the DNA, then you're going to use hope to go after the truth or whatever you're looking for. And if I say no, the whole world doesn't have the DNA, then you're going to abandon it, which means you didn't really want it anyway. So what's the difference?
Your work and listening to you for nearly 2 years now, uh, there are often moments when something resonates and I have no words, no reactions. I'm just staring at the words as they sink in. So many of my questions have been answered by your tweets or public discourses. Thank you for those. And so each of these spaces is very valuable. And because you also told me there is no other reference for your work. So I really want to ask a proper question. So I find myself only having this question. Could you paint a picture as to what kind of question I can ask that is effective, not a waste of my time or yours, or a disguised prescription request?
No, that would not be organic for me to tell you what to ask. Things must come out of the acuteness of one's own life and where he is. Otherwise, it's just being a parrot.
Why can't I just be? Why this constant urge to seek?
Why do you want to just be?
How can I improve my self-confidence and esteem?
Why do you want to improve that?
Because without it, I'm always in despair.
And so you believe that I can tell you that you should practice this and that, and then you'll be confident and you'll have more self-esteem?
Yeah, can you tell me something about that?
Yes, I can tell you that pursuing that is something that you are not ready to hear the truth about, because you are new here, and there's nothing wrong with you being new here. But it might take about 17 years, or at least 17 months, for you to even have the inkling of the understanding that to ask a how to get somewhere doesn't get you anywhere. So you're not ready for that right now.
Why did you decide to host this space if you give insincere answers to most people asking questions?
You believe I give insincere answers?
Yeah, I feel like you're shutting down people and being pretty aggressive for no reason.
I see. Well, thanks a lot.
You're gonna ask me a question?
Hello? I don't know if I'm being heard, but my question is, I've heard you speak about how discipline is non-existent, and if a person is desperate enough, then they won't require these steps to achieve what they want. But if you can't cultivate what you desire, if that's already existent, and you have no control over discipline, you can't control these routines, and what is a person's
The trouble with this question is that it began with something that I said, which you then used as a premise to ask me a question based upon something that I said, which did not seem to be in your own experience.
Yeah, I think I did that to have a common ground.
And
Sorry.
so well, that's not a common ground. That's that's just that's just belief. So in fact, it's non-belief, and neither of them is real. So it doesn't go anywhere to say that you said X and Y. Well, how can X and Y be true if A, B, and C? Well, the question is based upon there's no foundation there because it isn't yours. I didn't ask you to believe the X and Y. If the X and Y was not something that you have experienced for yourself, then you're asking a question based upon something that you heard. And therefore it can't be a real question because the foundation isn't there.
No.
Yes.
Hi, how's it going? Hey,
Hi, Kapil. What is guilt? Does it take one away from the truth or towards it?
Why does it matter?
Can you tell me what is guilt?
You don't know what guilt is?
Uh, I'm, tra- I'm trying to find out.
You're trying to find out? You don't know what guilt is?
I know. Love you, Kapil.
But I would like to say something. Your work is inspiring. It hits home. And what I see is the ultimate in my domain. I'm not interested in society or what the world says, but what you do and what you say is honestly nothing but absolute truth. And I would just like to say you're the master, and we're so grateful to have you walk this planet in this era. And thank you so much for all the discourses, all your work, because it's only that that exposes me to what's real and not an illusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can freedom create?
My question is something I feel like I don't know if you're able to show it to me, but my question is an arrival at satisfaction, or is pain ceasing an eventuality, or it's I want to understand the truth behind uh, what causes that to go away, I suppose. But I don't know if you telling me is something that needs to
Well,
be
I mean,
believed, or if it's
really
something that I can see.
understand that seeking the truth about the seeking the truth about relief from something is not really seeking the truth, and that does not mean that it's wrong to do that. There's nothing wrong to seek relief. I'm just making a statement that that isn't the truth, and therefore, if it isn't the truth, it can't lead to any type of cure to anything.
Thank you for taking my question. I have a question and then potentially a follow-up question. You don't have to take the follow-up question if you don't want to, but I'll just start with the main one. If there is a circumstance that makes one feel complete, and then upon the cessation of the circumstance, one goes back to feeling like, I guess incomplete is the best way I can describe it. Is there like a truth there, or is that kind of just like a feeling coming and going?
I don't know. This is way too vague and theoretical of a question.
Hey, Kapil, thanks for all your hard work. I appreciate the work you do here. My question is, do you think there's a relationship between physical fitness or wellness and routine to the truth? And the reason I'm asking is I've been engaged in a fitness routine over the last several months, and I seem to think clearer, and the questions I'm asking and the questions I'm asking.
So here's my okay.
Yeah,
So if you do X and that X gives you good feeling, or
yeah,
you feel that it provides a sense of well-being or makes you think better, whatever it is, whatever your words
yeah,
are, okay, then that cannot be denied, right?
yeah.
That's your experience. That's what. So, but if you say is fitness related to truth, well, then according to that, then everybody who had a six pack um, would, and beautiful muscles, and
Mm-hmm.
then that person would realize truth, or would have, or whatever your word, or could have mental clarity, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, if that relationship existed.
Yeah, fair point.
Let's go. I am attempting to understand why, in a situation that I see as a confrontation, struggle, or retaliation, I become, that's the word, paralyzed. I see myself in that situation as inferior, weak, or the losing side because I think my attacks are insufficient or too weak or not capable on their own to reach the person. I acquired this I acquired this since I was 4 or 5. I would witness intense fights with my father and mother and hide from them. I wanted to do something against my father, but I was paralyzed watching. I wanted to flee too. The question is, what's the truth behind this? What did I not understand about the situation?
Well, the truth is not, the truth about that is it's very deep. There's multifactorial. It isn't just you feel that because of X. That's the truth about it.
Yes.
That would need to be explored about how you view things, what your uh, what what your level of sincerity is, what your level of interest is in learning A, B, and C, where how you view yourself and how you view. There's a million things there. So I cannot say with the truth the reason that you feel that way is because of X. That's not real.
Hi, Kapil. I just wanted to say thank you. My entire life, I've been the most intense person that I knew personally, and I was constantly told to be more relaxed, to not take things so seriously. And for the longest time, I believed that. And that conflict caused me immense suffering. But coming across your work and understanding that it was part of my nature, I now have the feeling in life of being a river on the way to the ocean. And so for me to ask anything itself would be insincere because my own exploration is leading me where I want to go. But I did just feel compelled to thank you.
Thank you.
Previously, you have said that there is no good and bad, and I foolishly took this and believed it because I thought it was good to believe what you were saying because you're probably wiser than me, right? Um, this created a problem where I thought it was good to believe that there is no good or bad. It's like a circle, right? It's not real. Um, and so I wanted to know, and I examined my own experiences. I for example, I have an uncle who drinks because he's very, very just distraught about life in general. And I I think that this is bad for his children, right? But it seems like there is something that I am not seeing about this circumstance that I'm not understanding, um, where it is not bad, or not necessarily that it's good or bad, but just that both of those things aren't.
Well, I mean, like yes, I mean, there's absolutely. I mean, is that a nurturing and healthy environment for children? Absolutely not. Is it is there no good and bad? And then go out and kill people? Absolutely not. I mean, is it no good and bad? Therefore, go and steal and embezzle and that's not what that means. And it that's why it really it's sort of like the people who could. I mean, you could literally bastardize anything that I say because I'm not going to go out of my way to explain and put footnotes and disclaimers, and I don't care. I mean, if you don't have enough sincerity to actually look at the essence of what I'm saying, then that's on you. And I don't mean you specifically. I just mean you in general. And so, for instance, I could put up something about how school is nonsense, and it's true, but someone who was insincere could read that and say, for instance, a child could read that and say, well, he said school is nonsense, so I'm just going to sit home and play video games. Well, that's insincere. And so everything that I say requires a certain type of person. And that's why it isn't for everybody. And in some ways, it's for everybody. In some ways, it's for nobody. And it's for everybody in the sense that a person is a human being, and therefore there's nature and divinity within him. And so, in that sense, it's for everybody, but it's for nobody because that has been moved away from and moved. The person has moved towards society and the world and become conditioned and bought into all the lies and the nonsense. And so, therefore, if that sincerity isn't there, I don't think anybody should read what I write because, like I think I posted a message on Twitter once, which said that don't believe that you understand what I'm saying. I can guarantee you don't. There's probably like 19 more layers, but I'm not going to explain the first 18. I have no interest. So I just enjoy speaking the direct truth. I'm not here to teach anyone, or help anyone, or create any kind of, you know, new movement or anything, right? So yes, you could absolutely read falsely into that and say, oh, well, if you say there's no good and bad, then that means I can go kill somebody. And that's not good, no good and bad. That's insincere in the same way that the kid who reads that school is nonsense plays video games. That's insincere. So there's no good and bad in the sense that, like, the judgment placed upon it in terms of what you should and should not do, in terms of conceptualizing things. And that that has to be understood. It is not. It's not. For instance, it's good to seek the truth, and it is bad if you don't seek the truth. Like, that's what I mean. No, that's incorrect. Like there's no judgment to it. But causing harm to other people and all, of course, that's not what I mean or think that that's okay. Of course it's not. But it anyone who has an insincere slash askew intent can turn anything into something that supports their own wicked views. So it requires sincerity to read what I say, and not that you should read what I say, but just understand I'm not going to footnote anything, and I'm not going to come along and put disclaimers for the masses. If one is not armed with that level of sincerity, they really shouldn't read my work at all.
Hello. I don't mean to play definitional games, but I really couldn't understand this, so I was thinking maybe you can help. What is the difference between truly wanting something and chasing it? Thank you.
I mean, that's a fair question. Um, the concise answer is all chases are a chase for pleasure.
Um, in in Musashi's Dokuro, it says, "Be detached from desire your whole life long." But it's a weird sentence for me because sometimes you feel something in your bones and you want to, see it in reality. It's an art you want to create in reality. So, what is that sentence right, or what does it mean to you, or maybe what's the right way to phrase it?
I have no idea about the context of anything. I mean, you can't pluck a phrase from somebody and then ask me. You should ask Musashi. And since he isn't alive anymore, I can't comment on what somebody else said.
Hi. Do you believe you're an authority on truth? If so, why?
I don't believe anything. Why are you here?
I was just genuinely curious. I meant no offense by the question.
No, that's fine. I just asked why you're here.
I like listening to you. I like your work. I like your writings.
Okay.
Hello, Kapil. You just asked why we're here, and we're here because we feel the energy of your aura, that there's truth that you've imbibed, and we hope by speaking with you more that there will be an osmosis And so my question to you would be, why are you here? Is it because you find satisfaction in speaking truth?
Well, number one, what you just said. I mean, you can't really speak for everybody. You can speak for yourself, and so that's what compels you, and that's great. That's fine. As for why I'm here, I don't have an answer for that.
I hope you can hear me. My question is, what are the most effective techniques for achieving spiritual transcendence and attaining a state of higher consciousness?
Higher consciousness is nonsense. Spirituality doesn't exist, and techniques go nowhere.
Did you hear any of that?
No.
Oh, I said, why do you think, on the one hand, so many people are drawn to truth and want to step into it or step into the things that they're naturally drawn towards or figure that out? Yet at the
I don't think so many people are drawn to truth. Some are.
Well, I guess I mean in the sense of like when, people idolize others that are quote unquote living their truth or have stepped into their authenticity or what is natural for them. But yet the whole world seems to also turn away from it simultaneously and live in belief.
I don't think there's a real question there.
Oh, g'day, brother. Firstly, I just want to say I really enjoy reading your writings. I have a question on you were talking about coaches and how they kind of, play pretend and put on a performance and this type of thing. I would just like to know, like, what's the difference between what you do.
I don't coach anybody.
Mm, One of your sayings of being limitless, which is extremely pure, like if you want to be limitless, that purity and that thing, if you don't want to expose it to anyone else, that that thing of being limitless, and I think your work is like that. You should. I feel so bad when you come into spaces like this talking about your work, because that is so pure, and that should not be shared. It is it is so pure for me that I have to crawl a mountain to get to your work, and it is so sad when I hear you talk to nonsense and people who ask nonsense questions. So I just want to say that, and thank you for being in my life, and thank you for your work.